that the internet it does well this time. But let's see. How are you guys feeling? Going to be talking about some interesting things today. Yesterday's discussion got quite heated because we were talking about money, and then a financial advisor came in, and that was very interesting. But just to remind you guys, the reason why we do this is because I provide two scholarships for kids in Jamaica out of pocket, and I want to use 100% of the YouTube money to get us to four scholarships by the end of the year. That's why we're growing this channel. We're almost at 4,000 subscribers. Hopefully, by the end of this week, we'll be at 4,000 subscribers. But that has been going really well, thanks to you guys, honestly. And so, beyond that, you guys have been fantastic, and you guys are coming in, and you guys are making sure that the channel is doing well. You guys are commenting, you guys are liking, you guys are sharing, most importantly. And I'm just really thankful for you guys, honestly. So, I just want to say that from the start. That's the first minute, just dedicating to you guys and saying thank you. Beyond that, we're going to be talking about why men feel lost. I'm actually at my cafe, my favorite cafe, getting breakfast. So breakfast is going to be coming in a bit. I have my water here, so I will be not dying. And yeah. And I'm also going live earlier in the day because I have a couple of people who are watching from halfway across the world, from India, from New Zealand, from Greece, and those guys are like their time zone is like 12 hours, 10 hours, 9 hours ahead. And so then I'm going live earlier in the day where I am so that they can watch as well. Because right now it's 9:39 in the morning, and where you are, it could be 6 o'clock at night. So or seven or even midnight. I don't know where you're watching from. But I'm live earlier in the day so that we can do more. Okay, so then why do men feel hopeless right now? Why do men feel hopeless? Uh, the first reason I think men feel more hopeless today than ever before is because, actually, I want to change my order. But anyway, damn, I want to change my order. Hey, my friend, question. Is it possible to change my order? To change it. From Bang Bang sandwich, can you change it to the peanut soup with Bang Bang inside? Yeah. Oh, it's not inside? All right, never mind. Let's keep the Bang Bang sandwich. It's okay. All right, never mind. Thanks. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I was gonna change my order, but I didn't. Bang Bang, by the way, is salmon. Anyway, I think a lot of people in general are just conditioned to believe that only lucky people can make a lot of money. Absolutely. Okay, so let's get into it. Um, why men today feel like life is hopeless? And I think one, women have told men that they can't be men. I'll start there, right? Because we're gonna be honest, we're gonna have a very interesting discussion today. Hey, Jordan, I see you. What's up? Women have told men that they can't be men anymore. And why is that happening? One, I see these gym videos. This is where I'm going to start because I was watching this last night. And there's these gym videos of women, they put these cameras up in the gyms and they're trying to trap men, right? You look at the camera and no, he's a creep and he gets canceled because he looked at the woman once or he, you know, glanced. No, I'm not saying that they're not creeps out there. Okay. Okay, cool. There are creeps. But what I am saying is that you have this environment that there are actually good guys out there. There are actually good guys who are respectful, who don't want to, misappropriate or objectify women, who don't want to disrespect women. They're all very good guys out there. And I think a lot of the good guys are on this live as well, right? I assume that none of you are creeps. But then what happens is because you don't want to be labeled a creep so much that what happens is you don't then go and talk to any woman because you don't know when to approach her. If you approach her in the cafe, you're bothering her. In the gym, you're bothering her. At the pool, you're bothering her. In the club, you're a creep. And you can be put on TikTok and you can lose your job, you can lose your reputation, and you can be cancelled. And now you have 1,000 people in your comments saying that you should kill yourself. This is what happens to men, right? Just by one TikTok video. And women take sport on this. Again, women also, for to their credit, they don't know who the creepy guards are. So then if you are a guy going up to her in the gym, she doesn't know that you're not a creep. But women are going to assume that all guys are creeps. So then what do men do? The respectful men, they say, okay, we're not going to talk to you in the gym. I don't talk to anybody in the gym. I always have my AirPods in and I don't talk to anybody in the gym. Okay. But then who are the men that would still approach women in the gym? The men who are willing to risk not being a creep. Sorry, the men who are willing to risk appearing as a creep, which are the guys who they don't want or they say they don't want to approach them. Right? No, I'm not saying that I've never met someone in the gym or I don't hold conversation in the gym. I don't, I'm not scared of anybody to talk to anybody at any time. But the idea of approaching women in any particular situation on the street, in the club, it scares most men away who would have otherwise approached people not wanting, thank you so much, who would have otherwise not done that. And so, okay, that's one area. Now, that's not the end all be all. That's not the entire situation. I have my coffee now, so gonna start drinking. That's not the entire situation, but then I use that as an example to tell a bigger picture, which is that a lot of men are no longer wanting to talk to women. They don't want to date. 40% of men under 25 have never, ever asked a woman out in person. Think about how crazy that is. Never, never. That's insane to me, right? Um, versus, I think I ask a woman out if I'm single. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think I ask a woman out on a date maybe at least maybe 4 times a week if I'm single. In different situations, I see someone at the cafe. Hey, how you doing? Let's have coffee sometime. Simple as that. Yes, no, okay, no problem. Move on. Right? But I'm not in the US. So then I don't have people constantly recording me on TikTok. So then I can't imagine if you're in California, if you're in New York, if you're in one of these states where it's game to record people. Yeah. So then you have an entire generation of men who are scared to talk to women and have no experience talking to women. And that alone stunts so many men. That's one. So then men aren't getting into relationship, they're not having sex, and they don't want to approach women, which makes them soft. That's the first thing. So then what happens if you have a bunch of men who don't know how to talk to women, don't talk to women, and they're at home, they can't talk to anybody? Then you have a bunch of men who then turn to pornography. And then now makes it worse. They don't have the motivation or the necessity to go out and talk to women. So now they don't talk to anybody, right? This is very real. So then they turn to pornography. They don't know how to talk to women, et cetera, et cetera. And as you go down the line in these logical arguments, they don't know how to talk to people. They become lonelier and lonelier. And they have no motivation to talk to them. They will have no motivation to build families. They have no motivation to go out and do these amazing things because, by definition, the average man wants to make more money, wants to develop all of these skills so that they can start a family and continue their genetic bloodline because there's a vested interest in being the best person and gathering the most resources, which is money. But then if you have no motivation to do all of those things and you don't have the energy because you're always on your screen, you're always at home, you're always demotivated, then you have an entire generation which is falling behind, which is why in school now, women are outpacing men. In the US, 3 million more young women own houses than young men. So the women are richer. Thank you so much. That was very quick. Thank you. This is my breakfast. Wonderful, right? Let me show you my breakfast. Uh-huh. Right. So then you have all of these things going on for young men. Um, and it is a very sticky situation because again, what you have happened is that young men aren't being okay. The young men aren't being prioritized. They're not prioritizing themselves. But then the motivation to prioritize themselves is also missing. Someone said, I think so many guys prioritize women when they should be prioritizing their self-care first. Absolutely. I agree. But I think it also comes down to hope. Okay. Think about this. You can prioritize self-care as a man if you understand. For example, this is what happened to me. Oh my God. This is what happened to me. I understood very clearly that if I prioritize my self care, then in a few years, I'd be able to enjoy more life, and I'd be able to access more women. I'd be able to travel to more countries to meet more women, and I'd have more resources and I'd have more control over my life, right? But if there is no hope for you, and if you don't see that path clearly laid out for you, then why would you prioritize self care? No one is, I mean, someone actually sat down and showed me these things. And thankfully for YouTube, and I was able to see, somebody in Dubai living their life, and Instagram, you can see these things. But if you have no hope of doing that, you're in your job that's paying 15, $12 an hour, and you don't see how you're going to get from here to Dubai. And the easier path for that man is to just turn to his phone all day. Why would you try? And that's what's happening to young men, right? Young women are doing better in many major cities, and that trend is going to continue. It's going to continue. Women are going to outpace men, and that's not good news for women either. We think it is, but it's not, because the women who actually want their man to make more money and to be in charge and to, be all of these characteristics that make them a better human being, they're not going to have them, or they're going to be less and less of them. And so, I mean, everyone is talking about this in the West, but it is a problem because the trend is continuing, and we're trying to raise the alarm, because if the trend continues, then in 10 years, women are not going to have anybody, and men are not going to be worthy, and they're not going to feel like they have the necessary qualifications and characteristics to actually date. It's going to be a major problem. This is why it helps to have highly under money mentors like you. Ah, I just saw that comment. I appreciate you. Well, yeah, we're not talking about money today necessarily. I mean, we talked about money for an hour yesterday. I'm happy to talk about money anytime, but I wanted to talk about. I'm also having my breakfast. I also wanted to come on and talk about why young men are struggling, especially because you may not know this, but it's Men's Mental Health Month. That's why I'm coming on to talk about it, because I don't know, the world seems to care less and less about men, and I have a major problem with that. You know, I have a personal major problem with that. Hey, what's up, under terrified? Jordan, what's up? Good to see you. Um, Jay Ride, good to see you as well. Everybody's in here. That's great, right? Yeah, the fact that um, it's Men's Mental Health Month, and it's being overshadowed by Pride Month, and people are more talking about Pride Month than Men's Mental Health Month. Yet, the suicide rate for men is 4 to 6 times higher than women. I think that's a bigger crisis right now. And I think the trends of exactly what I just described is a bigger problem right now. And we're not talking about it enough. I'm not saying that there's a problem celebrating LGBTQ month or Pride Month, and whatever your beliefs are, but I think we can do that as well as talk about the fact that men are having a problem. Men are having a problem. And this is more so in the West, not the East, but the West. I'm not sure what's happening in the East. I know that in China they're having a major problem. Mental health is a major problem for the men there, because especially because of the one child policy that they have there. Men are not finding any women, and there's so much pressure for these young men to do and be perfect superhuman people, that they have entire industries trying to get these men to be superhuman people. They have to be 4.0 students. They have to learn to play the violin and the cello and the piano, and they have to speak 7 languages, and they have to know robotics, and they have to solve world politics and create some type of new element in the scientific table. They have to be perfect, but no one is perfect. But that's what they're trying to make them do. That's what's happening in China. In the US, I think that might eventually happen, because to be in the top 1% or the top 10% of men, one, fantastic experience, but it is exceptionally, exceptionally hard. Hmm. Where are you guys watching from? And if you guys stay silent, it's going to be weird. So don't be weird. Don't be silent. Tell me where you're watching from, and actually type in a question. Okay. Um, Another reason why I think we're not having such a hard time is because women are very good at this. Women are very good at community. And this is why I personally love like inviting men over to my house or like we go out and it's just the men. But we don't do it often. And I know that men don't do it often. We can go and talk to the women anytime. That's what we know how to do. Or at least what we are, you know, it's like the normal thing to do. But I think it's less normal for men to say we are going to play football or we are going to go play pool as just men, five, six, seven men, right? We're just going to play pool. We're just going to talk. We're going to have beer. We're just going to talk about politics, about life, about women, about our personal struggles, etc. And I think that's less common. And I love doing it. I think people in the Caribbean do it really well because we have a tradition of just, going to the bar, etc. But I don't think people in the US do this very well, which is maybe why the suicide rates are so high. But across the board, women do this very well. But they disguise it as going to the spa day, or they have a club or a book club or all of these other things. Women do this exceptionally well. They come together in communities quite often to just talk about their feelings, just talk about anything. Men don't do that. And that's a problem. And so that's one of the things I try to change because of that. Because men don't do it enough. Hey, bro, let's go out and let's just um no women tonight. Let's just talk. We're gonna go we're gonna play pool. We're gonna go to the club. Uh, and then we're just gonna walk home from there and see how the night goes. And like I remember I was in Brazil and me and my bro would just go watch the sunset. Just me and him. And we talk about life and career and the life that we want to live with our kids and stuff. I don't have kids, he doesn't have kids, but one day we would have kids. We're talking about, where we want to travel to and our goals and aspirations over a sunset. No. Sometimes it was very romantic and we used to joke with each other. But the fact that women do that often with each other, and that seems weird for men to do. That's the problem I'm getting at. It seems weird for two straight men to just go watch the sunset and have a beer, but it's not uncommon for women. That's my point. Women are very good at community. That's why their mental health is so much better. They can talk about these feelings. They have, like my sister right now. She just found this club where they meet once a week and they do different activities. She's in Atlanta. And last week they did VR, virtual reality. They went to a virtual reality part. The week before that, they went to another thing. And every week they do something else. But just imagine that men don't have that. We don't have something like that where we can just go do something. And it's all women in that club, all women. But men don't have something like that. We have to play sports or football. And even during football, we're not really bonding, right? We're playing football, right? Or we're playing basketball. Yeah, that's fine. But it's not the same as sitting and talking for the same amount of time. If you play football for 2 hours, fine, is your friend. But if you sit and talk for 2 hours, that's very different. And I like doing that. In addition to sports, do sports too and all of the other things. I'm not saying, be weird, but also find time to just sit as men and talk, you know? And I find this in every country, you know? Every country I've been to, every country I've been to, there are opportunities for me to just sit down and vibe with men around me. And obviously, there's time for women. I love women, but you have to intentionally find space for men to just sit down, chill, vibe, and connect with each other. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. So I'll be that one. Mm, amazing. This this is smoked salmon, but this salmon. Oh, oh, oops. What? Didn't that? Oh my God. What you mean at least one? Oh my goodness. All right, there we go. All right, there we go. This is salmon, by the way. This is salmon specifically from Suriname. It's like a more fleshy, thick salmon, and it's a lot more salty. So it's very good, very tasty. Naturally salty fish. But it's not saltfish. It's just naturally salty salmon. And they make it into the sandwich, and it's very nice, very tasty. And I have obviously a cappuccino. Mhm. Who else is here? I don't want to sit in silence. Ask the question if you're here. Do you think all dating apps are useless? Absolutely not. I love dating apps. In fact, if you want, if you type yes, I will give you some advice on dating apps because if you, I like doing this. I'm actually very good at dating apps. I think obviously it's because my life is interesting and I'm very good at taking pictures and I'm very good at writing. And so, I've kind of studied dating apps for a few weeks so I could get it down to a science. But I have hundreds of matches on Tinder. On every city I go to, I usually have a date by the first weekend. Um, I'm really good at dating apps. And so then if you want my advice, I can tell you some tips, some pointers on how to actually do well in dating apps, what might help you, because I know that most men don't get matches. And so then for me to get matches and hundreds of them, and every city I go to, I get a match by that weekend, it's actually quite phenomenal. So if you want some pointers, I can tell you. I'm not saying that to brag. I am telling you that I know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm bragging too, but whatever. Do you want me to talk about dating apps? Because I can. That's actually a very relevant topic. If you would find it interesting, I'll go ahead. Oh, fantastic. Uh, so I'm not hearing a response. I'm going to actually go ahead and talk talking about dating apps. All right. First of all, my favorite dating app is Hinge. I love Hinge. Tinder has the most people all over the world, but Hinge has the best results by far. Bumble is garbage. Just need to look well groomed, smile, have a good camera, be muscular, and in front of an expensive car. Ha 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 ha. Okay, so let's talk about everything that you just said. Um, One, well groomed is subjective. I'm going to save this clip, so let me look at the time. Okay, cool. Well groomed is subjective. So you can say well groomed, but what does well grooming? Is this well groomed? Well, not for Tinder. This wouldn't be a good photo for Tinder, right? But I do look fine, right? But it's not, the background sucks. And so it's not just have a good camera. This is a good camera. I look decently groomed. I have on a nice shirt, but this is not okay for Tinder. So then it's more than just that. You can actually have to think about the psychology of women, which is like you have to have some data behind what you're saying. And I've looked at some data, so I'll share it with you. The thing about the expensive car is actually true. You do want to have signals of wealth. Now, I'm not saying that you have to have an expensive car, but you want to have signals of wealth, that you could have wealth somewhere. Now, I like expensive cars, so then I actually do have an expensive car. My Tinder that definitely does help. However, if you don't have an expensive car, you also have hotels, views, right? You can take a with a view in the background of the city skyline. That's also good. You can also take picture with jewelry on. That's also good. Um, Anything that shows that you might have some type of resources. The reason why I say that is not because women are gold diggers. That's not true. However, biologically speaking, the data was tested. A woman is way more likely to like a man with resources, with a nice car, with a nice watch, than men. Men look at this much less. It's like 70% of women versus like only 15% of men that look at resources as being important, right? As having some type of, like, you have a preference for the guy with the nicer car than not. Same guy, same characteristics. One just drives a Honda, one drives a Maserati. Okay, same thing. So then, if you're actually serious about this, and you should be, because online dating is probably how you're going to meet your wife, so then you actually do want to put some thought into this. You're going to have to spend a bit of money and get yourself into some type of environment where you can signal that you might have money. Okay. Being well groomed, great. Have good clothes, talk to someone, or look up a YouTube video on how to be well dressed, right? Make sure that your suits are actually tailored. If you don't have a tailored suit, go and get your suit tailored. You can go to any tailor and they will tailor your suit. You don't have to buy an expensive suit. But if you buy a regular suit, get it tailored, right? Have a good haircut. If you are going to, here's the thing about an expensive barber. Expensive barbers, you only need to do them once. If you go to an expensive barber, ask the barber what they think you should get as a haircut. That's what their job is. A stylist. Go to an expensive barber and ask them what they think you should do with your hair. And then when they do it, stick with that, especially if it looks good. And then tell everybody else when you go to the less expensive barber, this is what you want. Take a picture, tell them this is what you want. That's what a stylist is supposed to do. They're supposed to look at your head shape, your body figure, and try to accentuate that. A stylist is the person who told me I should have a hair like this, right? I should grow my hair. That's who told me that because it works for me. Okay. So then I know that this hair works with my head shape and my body. Next thing, smile. Now, smiling actually doesn't help you. You need to have a nice smile. At least maybe two or three of your photos need to have a smile. But smiling actually helps you less than you think it does. Women like smile. We like good smiles. So you do want to smile. However, it's more important for you to signal in your Tinder profile that you are someone who can lead. When I say lead, that's not necessarily the right word, but you want to signal that you are someone who is respectable and someone who is smiling in every photo doesn't come across as being um, sexually engaging. Now, women may disagree, but what they actually do when they're swiping on Tinder is that they don't choose the guy that is smiling all the time. So you have to listen to what actually works. Okay? How about this? Book a submarine to go over a mile below the ocean and take a picture in a sub with DC creatures in the background. I'm sure there are ways to prove it is real. I don't think that necessarily work. I mean, yeah, I don't think that will necessarily work. Deep sea creatures have not necessarily been known to attract many women because, I mean, you have to think about it. She's not going to picture herself there in a submarine with you, so I don't think that gets the point across. But let's keep going. Let me take a back to this. This is good. Mhm. Again, the summit on Mount Everest. That's not that can't be one of your photos, but you're missing the entire point of what I'm saying. So I get to the photos in a second, but just pay attention, which is that this is it's kind of what like guys miss, right? You're missing the point of what your Tinder profile is supposed to be. You don't realize that a woman will look at your photo and let's say there is a crack right here in the photo, right? In the wall, nothing to do with you. She will swipe right on you or swipe left on you because of your background. Like let's say there's a sock on the ground in your photo. Men don't even realize that that's a problem. She'll look at your kitchen counter if it's clean or not, and that's enough for you to get swipe left. So you're not seeing the entire picture. It is this is why most guys are struggling. And this is why I don't, because I understand these things. Okay. Um, so smiling, okay, so then there, for example, there's a guy who said he just got out of jail. He's a handsome guy. He just got out of jail. He was convicted for beating his woman. And he got viral on Tinder. Viral. Now, if you ask any woman on the street, Would they like a man who beats his women and was convicted? They'll say no. But when they actually go to swipe on Tinder, that's who they're swiping on. You see what I'm saying? That's who they're swiping on. And so what you don't want to do is listen to what women say. You want to look at what the data actually says they're swiping on, because that's how you're gonna get a date. That's how you don't have to be an asshole. You don't have to be the richest guy, but you do want to look at the data and look at what can get you through the door, so that on the date you can actually impress her with who you are as a person. So back to what we're saying. Uh, tips. Good camera must. Okay, so smiling in every photo won't actually work, but you do want to smile at some point in your photos. If you are muscular, you can show that off. If you're not muscular, don't. Don't show off a shirtless pic if you don't have it like that. Just don't. Okay, that's not your vibe. That's not what you're doing. No problem. However, I would encourage you, for your own sake, to get into the gym, because being muscular does help. Okay. So what's your first photo? Your first photo, I'll run through this quickly. Wait. This is a really good sandwich. Okay. Your first photo. Your first photo should always be the photo that stops her in her tracks. You're swiping, you're swiping. Your first photo has to be interesting. So this is something that you can actually test. If you have an expensive car, put it in your first photo. If you have an animal, put it in your first photo. Those have been the two things that work. If a dog, or a dog, cat, something, some type of animal, or a car. These two things work. So if you have one of those things, put them in, because most men don't have these things in their photo. They have just some dingy photo that they took, or a selfie. That doesn't work. Put a photo of a car with you in a car, you outside of a car, you behind a car in front of you, whatever. Or you can put a photo with you and an animal. Then the second photo, you can put somewhere where it's you more interesting. Now, someone raised the submarine. I wouldn't necessarily say the submarine, but somewhere like hiking, somewhere outdoors. Women like people who travel. Women like men who travel, men who are outdoors, men who can signal that they can protect her physically. That you have some type of adventurous life outside of just a relationship, that you're interesting, you have stories. So then, if you have any travel photos, you want to put that in there, not necessarily you by the beach, right? But somewhere in a mountain, somewhere in the woods, something interesting. And then you want to put a photo where you are in a social setting. I'm walking you through it. Put a photo where you are in a social setting. A social setting meaning that there are four friends or five friends around you, and you are somehow one of the leaders. Either everybody's looking at you as you're telling a joke, etc., and you have a smile on your face. Great. Do that. Great. Cool. Now, if you have it, the fourth photo is where you can put the shirtless photo. If not the shirtless photo, that's fine. Put yourself in a nice suit, tailored suit, or some type of stylistic photo. Make sense? Stylistic photo, meaning you want to show off your style, how you dress, but you also want to be careful of the background. These are full body photos, okay? Then your next photo, you want to show yourself in a full body. You want to show off the shoes and your entire body, right? From the head top down to the shoes. Again, these are interesting photos. And then again, your next photo, you only need maybe around six, seven photos. You don't need all nine, which is what Tinder has, but you can do six or seven. You want to again show something interesting, something that maybe something that you like doing, you like reading, and whatever your hobby is. Now, don't put a hobby that women don't like. So if you're into comics, don't put comics, because women don't like comics, right? Um, put snowboarding, right? Something something outdoors. Again, maybe you playing football, something you traveling, something maybe even you driving, something about your hobby. You can put that in there. These are interesting photos. Again, if you have muscle, you can put that in there. But if these are your photo line, if these are the line up, is this, what's my English? If this is the lineup of your photo collage, you are going to do well. because all of these photos are showing her, one, you're not crazy because you have a photo of you with other people. Two, you have money. Three, you have a decent body, especially if you have it. You can put that in there. If you don't, don't. And I'm going to talk about this photo again. You have a life outside of her because you're showing your hobby, and you're also good with animals or anything like that, right? You want to put that in there. And then also just you being outside doing whatever you're doing, right? You have an interesting life. These are things that she can talk about. She can say, "Hey, uh, I love that mountain photo that you have. Where was that?" Or, "I didn't know that you go ice skating. What was ice skating like?" Don't show a photo of you popping bear in a stadium. Why would you do that? Which woman likes that? That's not, like you surprised by the pictures that men have in their profiles, just not thinking about what women like at all. Your bro is like that photo, not her, right? You have to think about what women like. Let's talk about that shirtless photo. The shirtless photo that you have has to be a photo that is in context. Don't take a mirror selfie shirtless. That is stupid. Don't take a shirtless picture in the gym. That is stupid. Take a shirtless picture at the beach where it makes sense. In the mountains where it makes sense. When like you're hiking, right? Take a shirtless photo where it makes sense. Or you can take a muscular photo with a tight shirt, right? At the gym. That makes more sense than just taking a mirror selfie. Don't put any selfies. Don't do that. That doesn't make sense. No one finds that cute. And so just understand that the shirtless photo, you have to do it correctly. I wouldn't take any photo in your house, by the way. Mm-hmm. I just saw that comment. Rock climbing in the outdoors. Yeah, rock climbing in the outdoors definitely works. Works fantastic, actually. Rock climbing, anything that is adventurous. Show you like with the harness around you and you're climbing the rock. That's interesting. Now you're understanding the picture. You want to be interesting. Anything to show that you are an interesting character. Because most men are boring. All they do is work. You have to be an interesting person. That when she talks to you, you're gonna have story. You're gonna be able to entertain. You're gonna be able to charm her, her friends, her parents, the waiter, the waitress, the person who owns the restaurant. You're gonna be able to charm everybody. And you need to show that in your photos. You're not showing her that you're sexy. That's not the point of your photos. Women don't care. That's not, right. You want to be able to show that you're interesting. That's what your photos are for. Not to show that you're sexy. You're not sexy, first of all, you know? So just forget that. I don't think I'm sexy. So just forget that. But I am interesting. And I'm able to show that in photos because I understand what women want. That's what it is. Right? Just understand the difference. It's a long time talking about Tinder. But I mean, I am good at it. So I hope it helps somebody. Online dating is very much the new wave. So I know this actually helps somebody out there to think about the way that their online dating goes. Oh, let's talk about the bio, by the way. One, if you can put an Instagram in there, you should put your Instagram in there and also make sure that your Instagram is decent, which exactly the type of photos I just told you. Um, uh, talk about the bio. If you have a height that's over 6 feet, put your 6 feet in there. I don't know why it matters to women. Never understood it. I've heard different reasons, but there's no conclusion on this. But if you are over 6 feet, put that in your bio on Tinder. You want to keep it simple, love the outdoors, love to travel, and something funny, right? Um, just put some type of tasteful joke. Sometimes jokes don't go over well in text, so you don't want to overdo this. Um, but you can say, I don't know, like I don't want to tell you what mine is because I don't want you to copy me. But I do have my height in there. I do have my Instagram there, and I also have it like in one of the questions because I don't think they allow it in the bio anymore. But I have my Instagram. I have a joke up there, and I have what else do I have? I have love the outdoors and travel. Right, love the outdoors and travel. And oh, I also have I write, I work, I travel. I work out, I write, I travel. That's what I have. I work out. I write, I travel. So then whatever it is for you. It's very simple. I work out, I write, I travel. And using threes as a rule of three for comedy, you want to have a rule of three. And then you can fill out the rest of it. Make sure that you're verified. For women, being a verified person, very important because obviously women are taking a big risk by meeting a stranger on the line because because you can die as a woman. Men are very violent and weird. Like, I'm a man, I'm not weird, but I know men. So then having a verified photo that who you are, you're not going to catfish her. Who you are online is who you say you are. That's very important. So make sure that you get verified. That's also very important. Takes 2 minutes. It doesn't depend on the app. For example, obviously taking photos of you hunting would not work on Tinder, but maybe something like eHarmony, right? Again, it depends on the photo when you're hunting. It really depends on the photo because you don't want to show it. You don't want to show an animal in your photo, right? A dead animal. That's not attractive, right? That's stupid. But you posing with a gun in the woods, very interesting. Someone from the South would be like, oh, he's a man. He believes in the First Amendment or the Second Amendment, right? So you have a gun, you're smiling. So maybe someone is smiling at you, or you have the gun pointed down in safety or whatever. That makes sense. Do that. You understand what I'm saying? But if you have an animal in the photo, that's not going to work on any app. So don't do that. That doesn't make sense. Again, it's not thinking about these tips and tricks that work on just one app. That's not what I'm going to show you because that's not translatable. And the app may change, the algorithm may change, but the way that women work and the things that women swipe on in real life and online won't change. You understand that? So if you understand what makes women swipe, then you can be successful on any app. That's my point. That's good. What's up? So, for example, men like to think that being mysterious with a hat on Tinder helps them, or having a low hat on Tinder helps them to be mysterious. No woman is going to swipe on men who are wearing hats in every photo. That is stupid. Women want to see what your face looks like, right? They want to see what your face looks like. So show them your face. Take the fucking hat off, right? Doesn't make sense. You're covering up what you would swipe right on. You'd be surprised that men do this. They put hats on. That doesn't make sense. Take off the hat. Have a clear photo of what your face looks like. Yeah, but most people are on app. If you again, you're in the US, so you don't understand this. But Tinder has the most market share all over the world, except maybe in China because they have some other apps. But in most countries where you go to, everybody, if there is a dating app being used, it is more than likely Tinder. It is more than likely Tinder. So then there are countries where eHarmony is like 5 people on the app, but there are maybe 2,000 people on Tinder, right? So then you're looking at it from a perspective of you're trying to game what the algorithm is, and that's not what works. You are trying to find your person and you're trying to get to dates. Your objective, you need to think about this as sales, okay? Think about this as sales. You are trying to get dates. You're not going to marry someone off the app. You're trying to get dates. From dates, your objective changes. You're trying to get to a second date if she's the person that you want. But your objective on Tinder is just to get them to see you in person. That's your only goal. As many women as possible to see you in person. That's your only goal. If that's your goal, then you need to play Tinder correctly. That's why most men say that Tinder doesn't work because they're doing the thing wrong. They're trying to oh, I don't want her to like her for me, or yeah, but then you do it your way, and then you get one match every 6 months. If that's what you want, sure, sure, keep doing that way. But the way it actually works is, if you're doing it correctly, you get to meet a range of people, which is how dating should work in real life. Which is that you get to date this person, you don't like them, you learn. You date this person, you learn, you like them. You date, cool. Maybe you don't like this, okay. You break up, you learn, etc., and you keep going until you actually find someone that ticks enough boxes for you to say, okay, let's go long term. That's how it works offline. So then it's the same thing. You are trying to find that person that you can get to offline, and then see if you like them enough to keep going. So do you get a date in most countries? I get a date in every city I travel to. There has not been a single city where I have not dated somebody, and I've met them from Tinder. Um, Also, I will tell you, I pay for Tinder Gold or Platinum or whatever because I like fast results. If you don't want to pay, that's fine. But I like investing in the things that I find interesting. So if I say I want to find a partner and I find that to be an investment, then I'm going to pay for the app. Just like how I take my education seriously, so I spend on education, and I take investing seriously, so I spend in investment. I find dating very serious, so I spend money on it, and so I do pay for Tinder. Uh, so I get faster results. I don't like waiting, and I don't like swiping and then getting the thing that tells me I can't keep swiping. I don't like that. But yeah, I get a date in every city I've been to. There's not been a single city that I haven't gotten a date in. In fact, I've gotten dates where I don't even speak the language. Like for example, when I landed in Panama, didn't speak any Spanish. Same thing, same result. Because again, I understood how women work. I got women in America. I got women any city I go to. Doesn't matter. Traveling across the Midwest, if I was in a city for more than 7 days, didn't take that long. What does this thing keep telling me? Okay, great. You asked me the question, and the reason why I answer you that way is because there's a lot of people. I mean, if I could, I would show you a screenshot of my Tinder. I do this to people in person because sometimes when I talk, people don't. Again, I like when people test me. you know, I look unassuming. I look whatever. You know, I smile a lot, and I do know what I'm talking about. I do know what I'm talking about because I spend most of my time looking into research and understanding more of the world and getting smarter and wiser. So, I pulled out my Tinder anytime, and I'll show you. I talk to this girl. I can show you the messages. Like for example, my opening line. I'll tell you what my opening line is on Tinder. I reveal this. I hope this doesn't go viral. Some people, the people steal my. Well, listen, I trust your guidance. I think part of the problem is that there are so many people on the internet that seems good mentors, but not in the slightest. This art most critical. I have no idea who that is. I tell you what my opening line is. Um, in any language, this works best in Spanish. That's actually where it started because I love Spanish. I love the language. I love how romantic it is. But it's all or more. Estás libre esta noche or a mañana. And what it means is, hello, love, dot, dot, dot. And in the next message, I type, are you free tomorrow? That's what I type because my goal is very clear. We are going out. I'm not here to talk to you on the app. I don't want to talk to you on the app. I don't want to get to know you on the app. Let's go out. Now, here's what usually happens. One, my Instagram is on Tinder. So then she gets to decide, we already matched. I know she finds me attractive. She gets to decide if she wants to go out with me this week, or she can reschedule to maybe the weekend. Or so I'm not, even if it's Monday, I'm asking you, do you want to go tomorrow? Because I'm not waiting until the weekend. Do you want to go out tomorrow? Or if it's like midday, do you want to go out tonight? Right? I'm not asking someone out tonight if it's like 7 o'clock. I won't do that. But if it's midday, are you free tonight? If it's 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, are you free tomorrow? Okay, cool. And regardless of what day of the week it is. The reason why it becomes very clear that my goal is take you on a date. We are going out. I'm not going to keep talking to you online. We're not developing this relationship in text. It's not going to happen. So then she gets to say, hey, whoa, let me get to know you first or whatever. Or she gets to look at my Instagram. She gets to look at my profile some more and decide what she wants to do. Or she gets to not respond. However, if she does respond, say, yes, I'm free tomorrow, then I get to say, okay, cool. I'd love to go to this place. I've been wanting to try it, or I'd love to take you here. I like your style. Let's go here. And then we get to say, okay, cool. She says yes. Then we go, let me get your Instagram, let me get your number, let me get your WhatsApp, let me get your whatever, so that we can coordinate the date. Cool. And then I text her, hey, now we can keep talking from that point on off Tinder until the date. And then we go on a date. That's it. And then obviously from the date, you can, charm your way into whatever goal is yours. But that's it. Usually between in my fourth or fifth message, it's asking her out on a date. So that's the point. We don't have to go to dinner. We can go for lunch. We can go to breakfast. It doesn't matter. But we are going out. We're not staying on the app because we're not going to get to know each other on the app, are we? Good. I'm glad it's helpful. We don't always have to talk about money. I feel like there's stuff in my teeth that's bothering me. Obviously, I just finished eating. However, it's bothering me still. After this, I haven't been to the gym yet, so I'm going to the gym after this. I have my water here. I'm going straight to the gym. Oh, I actually have some real estate stuff to attend to. But after that, I'm going to the gym. After that. Okay. I hope this discussion has been helpful. In terms of Tinder and online dating. Listen, most people have questions about online dating, but they don't ask anybody. Do you put on Tinder that you wrote a book? No, but I do put again. I travel. I write. I I work out. I write. I travel. That's what I put. I work out. I write. I travel. I work out. Dot. I write. Dot. I travel. That's what I put. Dot. And do you put on Tinder that you wrote a book? Yeah. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if I wrote a book because it's actually you have the opposite problem. You need to be you need to surprise her on a date with all of the things that you do. Most men try to impress on Tinder. That's not the point. You need to be interesting, but not overly. You don't want to sell the farm because what are you going to talk about? For example, if you look at my Tinder, you'd have no idea that I was a professional cellist for 10 years and I performed for heads of state and presidents and prime ministers and governors. You'd never know that. You don't know I've written a book. You don't know I've been traveling for the last 2 years. You don't know I'm retired. You don't know any of that. But what you do know is that I'm interesting because my pictures have shown you that I'm interesting. That's my point. I am interesting. That's my point. Oh, I just thought of another picture that shows if you have money. If you are courtside at any basketball game, courtside, and it's a good photo of you courtside. No, thank thank you. And it's a good photo of you courtside. You can use that photo. That's a really good photo. Only if it's a good photo. Don't don't do selfies. Selfies don't work. Selfies, women don't like selfies, right? Women don't like selfies of men. They like their own selfies, but not selfies of men. Don't do that. What is this in my hair? I need to get a haircut. Also, my shaver, my electric shaver, like which I used to like clean and stuff. Yeah, it died. So, yeah, I have no idea what that's about. It just fucking died. Just said, yeah, peace. The one I had before that lasted maybe like 4 years. And then this one lasted like 6 months or maybe 9 months. Done. It's very upsetting. So it's okay. Well, listen, I appreciate all this. Do you realize how hard it is to find good mentors for stuff like this? Uh, no, I don't. But I imagine that it is hard. I'm the type of person that um the reason I would tell you, maybe this is also part mentorship too, is yeah, maybe. The reason I hear wise is because the wisdom which I learned from is not my own. I didn't come up with the money topics that I have by myself. What I did is that I read 500 books over 10 years, right? A book a week. And then I synthesize information across these 500 books. And then obviously, through the process, I create new information. This is why I wrote a book, etc. And I'm writing another book right now. It's my third book. But if you have all of this information, then you actually do get to create new information. That's the idea of school, which is that you go through bachelor's, you go through master's, and then eventually you actually start producing your own information, your doctorate, because you have all of this information from which to pull from. So my information is not my own alone. I ask every married person, how did they stay married, for example? And I've done that. So I have a lot of information about marriage. I have so much information on what makes relationships work. Which is why I've been in two long-term relationships. One with someone who didn't even speak English, and another since I've been traveling. Long-term relationships, like several months, right? The information I have about money, I have several money mentors that I've had since I was 16 years old, and I ask them questions over and over and over until I understand it, etc. Even today, I watched a YouTube video. I watched two YouTube videos before I got out of the house today while I was getting ready about money. I'm always learning. And so maybe that's mentorship to you. It's like, yes, you can listen to me as well as understand that you should constantly be soaking up information. That doesn't stop. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Good. Love good apart to the prop. I am just someone who knows a lot of stuff because I am very hungry for information and I'm hungry for good information. Eventually, after you consume a lot of information, that's when you actually learn what good information is. But if you haven't consumed a lot, then any information, you'll take it as good information. But if you know a lot of information, then you can learn pretty quickly what bad information is. For example, I'll give you bad advice. I'll tell you what bad advice is about relationships. People will say, don't go to bed angry. Stupid. Don't, that's ridiculous advice, right? You can actually absolutely go to bed angry. It has nothing to do with whether your relationship will fail or not. Okay. I'll give you another one. Zodiac signs. You can absolutely date any zodiac sign because there is no concrete evidence that says that your zodiac sign affects the longevity of your relationship. You can absolutely date someone that's 10 years older or younger, obviously legal, right? You can absolutely date someone that doesn't speak your language. You can absolutely Um, Date someone for 10 years and they still not be perfect. You can absolutely get married after knowing someone for 3 months. That does not matter to how long your relationship goes. What matters is some of the values, how well you resolve conflict, how little expectations you have of your partner, how forgiving you are. And I mean, I could go down the line, but I'm not a relationship guru. I'm not even gonna. I'm not talking about that any longer. But my point to you was that there are some things out there that people say matter in your relationship, and they don't. Because if you read dozens of books and none of them say that, or maybe only one of them say that out of the dozens, but all of the dozens of books say like five things, then these are the actual five things that are important. And everything else is just fluff. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Anyway, I've been live for an hour and 1 minute. So I'm gonna get the hell out of here. But it was pleasure talking to you guys as usual, as always. Um, there are dating groups that encourage you not to take no for an answer. That's actually. Why is this not saving? Oh my god. This YouTube is an